Here we go again, Leland Live, talking at M5 here on this Friday. Just a couple of hours to go, and we're going about as fast as we can with an eventful news day here on this Friday. Lots of stuff out of the Middle East, setting up what should be a pretty positive weekend. I'm going to recap some of that stuff. Let me start at the top and the weather, and it's not much. It's not severe weather, but it's just enough to get excited about. We do have some rain coming in on Saturday night into early Sunday morning. Only about a half inch for the Birmingham Metro if you're back to the north and the west, say up around Jasper and back toward the Shoals. A little bit more rain for you guys, and we all need it. Every single part of the state of Alabama is in some stage of drought, and it's not a drought buster, but it's a little bit of relief from all the dust and maybe some of the pollen and everything else that's going on. So look forward to that. And I did see, just trying to be optimistic, did see a long range forecast that shows a wetter pattern coming in the next few days. So we do need it. And we hope that comes to fruition in the detailed forecast as we get into what should be otherwise a pretty beautiful weekend. I know I got a checklist of things I want to do tomorrow as soon as the sun comes up. Storm restoration roofing, speaking of weather and all the things that the weather here in the South can do to your roof. You need to jot this number down, and I tell you this almost every time we do our announcement about storm restoration, because Greg is the quality guy. If you're not in the market for a roof right now and you didn't just have an emergency, a lot of times this message will just go over your head. So I'm trying to get you to pause, put this number somewhere, then come back to it when you do get in that situation, because if you own a home, eventually you're going to get some of this. Storm restoration. That number, by the way, I'm going to give it to you again at the end of the spot. It's 205 542 3531. Greg is a roofer that's been at it going on. He's not quite to 3 full decades, but he's getting there. He's got 10 kids, almost all of them. They're not little kids. They're adults and young, hardworking kids. And they all work in and around the business, and a family that really works with each other like that and takes that personal pride of a family business to heart. This is who you want to work with. Some of his daughters work with adjusters. Some of his boys are up on the roofs, man, doing that hard work and doing it right. You want the installation done right, and that goes without saying. You want a quality job, but you need honesty. You need advice. This can get tricky financially when you're filing a claim. You got to do some things in the right order. Greg always tells me, and it's true, call him before you call your adjuster, because you need to be able to make your case to the adjuster. The adjuster is representing the insurance company. And that, there's some great adjusters. A lot of them listen to the show. I think some of them would nod their heads. If you are filing a proper claim and you've got real damage and it's a quality claim, you're going to have a lot better chance of getting covered than if these fly-by-night troll roofers show up in your neighborhood and try to get you to file a specious claim based on some storm that happened years ago. You need to do this stuff right. Now, there is a window. I've learned all these sort of rules from Greg to file. So it's not like if we have a storm event or a hail event this spring, you got to immediately call your adjuster the next day. Get dried in. If you need a tarp, Greg can come tarp you up. If we have a big event, then he can come back and help you with that documentation and get all that stuff done. But if you slow your roll and do it right, you're going to be much more satisfied than trusting anybody to get up there, especially in a crisis situation. Here's that number again, Storm Restoration Roofing, 205 542 3531, 205 542 3531. Well, it was an incredible day of optimism as it relates to this ongoing situation. That I say ongoing because I don't believe it's completely over, but you had these breakthrough announcements that just flooded out today from talks that have been going on. We're right at the end of a 2-week ceasefire. The Iranians lost the last bluff they had over the last week over being able to shut the Strait of Hormuz. The Trump team flipped that on them, came in themselves, took over the strait, blockaded the Iranians, and opened it up. But there still needed to be some market, belief. Is that the right word? Market confidence that the strait really was open. This wasn't just the United States claiming it was open. So Iran today, after being just put up against a wall, if they needed any chance for survival, they had to meet the United States demands. And that was they announced they were giving up the uranium enriched. They were not going to ever pursue that again indefinitely, suspending their program. They're going to open the strait and commit to not blackmail the world again about the strait. And, rather than just make fun of them for surrendering, they had to surrender. It's not a cocky thing. They were defeated. They have been defeated since the first week of this war. And anybody else that's been trying to spin and tell you that this was a disaster, that we were losing, that we didn't have a strategy and we didn't know what we were doing, all that's been wrong from the minute these sentences were uttered by a lot of foolish podcasters that have been leading people astray with foreign propaganda. The United States of America has the fiercest fighting force on planet Earth. They have demonstrated their professionalism and lethality 3 times in a row just in less than the last year. With the Fordham attack, that knocked out 75% of the nuclear program in Iran. They snatched Maduro. They took the drug boats away from our coastline. We needed them to do that kinetically because our country is being poisoned by these cartels. We're still dealing with that war. And, of course, executed this mission, including 2 dramatic rescues of our downed pilots in exemplary fashion. This is the stuff of folklore. So any fool, and I had a conversation like this a couple of weeks ago with a caller, any fool that actually believed the Strait of Hormuz was going to stay closed, that we had no control over the situation, was just not dealing in reality, the reality of force, where the rubber meets the road. This was not theory. This is cold, hard warfare, and we beat them. As I pointed out several times over the last few weeks, we weren't really at war after the first 2 weeks. There was no army to be fighting back. They weren't fighting us back. They were shooting random missiles left in their arsenal. And every time they moved, we'd do whack-a-mole and they were gone. Every time they tried to get it together and put out a new threat, we ended that. And so Hezbollah is a problem in Lebanon, and that's part of some of these negotiations too. It's sort of 2 tracks. There's the Israeli-Lebanon negotiations to deal with Hezbollah, and there's U.S. and Iran agreeing on commerce and the Strait and the nuclear material. And all of those things moved in a positive direction today that could lead to the outcome of peace that we've not seen in this region in my lifetime. And it's not just me. I saw an analyst today that he said he was in his 60s that said he never thought he would see this. We've never seen these parties talking together about a world where peace might be a possibility. Look, the Gaza threat against Israel is gone. If Hezbollah is removed and Iran's not sponsoring all this stuff, then the region can live in peace and prosper like they've always had the capability of doing with their incredible resources. And by the way, this is not religious. Some people are presuming that this is about Judaism or Islam. This is not a holy war, except for the Iranians being fatalistic, end times theocrats. This is about power. This is about economics in the region. And Trump understood that. We went in, it's coming together. Trump says in a couple of days there'll be an actual structured deal for parties to sign. Now, the biggest caution is that could fall apart overnight. You're dealing with a maniac regime, but that regime has now surrendered, and that may be an opening for the people of that country to have more freedom to establish a different way of government. The old regime's dead. Their leaders 3 levels deep are gone. They're not with us anymore. There's no cohesion there. There's no clarity of purpose. There's no good communication. They were up against a wall on their own resources with the blockade. The blockade may have been more effective than the bombing itself. We hit 17,000 targets to weaken their ability to wage war on their neighbors and anybody else they could reach from Iran. And that's gone. It disappeared. The nuclear program is gone. We didn't have to bribe them. We didn't have to sign some piece of paper that was worthless. We didn't have to do inspections for generations. We don't have to keep putting up with them committing third-party wars on the ground against other countries and commerce. That's done. This 47-year evil regime is gone, and the deals are being worked out, and the market ate it alive and went up tremendously today. At one point, the Dow was up 1,100. It's already ahead of where it was when the whole thing started on March the 1st. The NASDAQ and the S&P are setting records. Oil price dropped by $10 instantly. I think once the deal's signed, we get back in the $70 oil range, which is where we need to be. The whole world starts to get relief as that cheaper oil gets cycled through. There's a glut of oil sitting in tankers that's been pulled out of the ground that couldn't move because of the blockage That's going to flood into the markets and help with the pricing structure as well. All of this stuff just started happening, and that's the way things go. It seems like a quandary until there's a breakthrough, and then sort of the dam bursts, and we've got positive news all over the place. I don't have to sit here and gloat because we've been saying this for 47 days, because a lot of folks have been saying this for 47 days. But to me, it comes down to people that are experienced at what this nation has always been about, not our nation, but the nation of Iran, and understood the sense of purpose we have in doing this world a favor. And that purpose was bigger than the price of gas going up for 6 weeks. That I hope some of y'all's lives are okay after you've had to spend more on gas for 6 weeks. Some people were rolling around in the dirt like they were in this fundamental crisis. Everything's a damn crisis nowadays. And that's one of the more disappointing things. I wasn't that disappointed in NATO. I think this is a good moment for us to realign some situations with NATO they're scared of their own immigrant populations right now in those countries. And it's sad to watch, but they're in decline, and I'm not sure it's recoverable. But for the rest of the world, the potential for peace and prosperity and commerce and deals, one of the more disappointing things is how, as a society, we have lost our nerve. We are not as bold and willing to sacrifice and believe in who we are as generations that came before us. We are a whiny, not all of us. Clearly, some people are ready to go. USA, let's do it. And there's a sense of national pride starting to revive itself, because you got to win. You got to prove it to some people. Some people just don't have the stomach for a fight. But we have turned into a neurotic society that's just being fed by algorithms and controlled by foreign intelligence and propaganda campaigns, and people work themselves into tizzies. And I hope this is a learning time for them. If you got a friend in your life that thought this was going to be a forever war and we're going to have to put boots on the ground and Trump didn't know what he was doing and Strait of Hormuz was always going to be closed and we're losing, if they're spitting that at you the last few days, you don't have to go nanny boo-boo to them. Just give them some space to think about that. Some people are capable of realizing they were fooled and course correcting with the new information. That's actually a sign of intelligence. When you can take in new information and go, I changed my mind. That's a sign of intelligence. It's what you do in science. It's what you do when you're problem solving. You take in new information and reconsider your options. It's how everything goes in negotiation, in business, in life. And so give them space to do that. Help them do that and bring them around. We need people back on the team. We need people to quit being a bunch of whiny-ass, crisis-oriented victims. A victim-oriented society never wins. And I had this thought today as I was listening to repeated headlines coming across, one after the other. One was even better than the next as all this stuff starts coming together. And I'm listening to all these things, and I'm thinking, you know what? History is not made by skeptics. The cynical. They name a cynic that's considered a hero to any society. That, oh, this guy, boy, he just thought that was a bad idea, and we built a statue to him. We build statues to brave people who charge in and take the risk and lead us to better places and are strong in the face of adversity. Those are heroes. Those are people that built what we are. Those are people that can sustain what we are. And the skeptics and the hand-wringers and the pearl clutchers and the neurotics and the panicans, those people don't belong on history. History forgets those people. And they've always been around. They were around at our revolution 250 years ago. They've been around at every war and consequence in this country and in countries before us. There have always been people that have that immediate default to be the doubters until proven wrong. And what you want to do is bring those people along. The ones that can't come along, well, they actually are fools. They're people that are fools and people that have been fooled. A lot of people were fooled by the hysteria for the last 47 days, and I hope they'll take a breath and go, you know what? All right, good. This is good. Even though I don't like being wrong, and I opened my mouth and it got real loud, but this is good. Let's all get together, because this world's going to be a better place without that damn regime in place. 100%. All right, let's hit the phones, man. I want to get some of these calls in here. If we got time for Trump, we'll get Trump in here. We'll start with Joe in Coleman on line 1. What's up, Joe? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of asked you this, and maybe you could kind of predict this, and I don't know where it's going to go, but what happens to people's influence, like Tucker Carlson? I used to listen to him a lot. I've just quit listening to him. I still have his email. I subscribe to it. I don't pay anything for it, but I just do that because I want to know what's going on. and he sends me these messages constantly, and it's always something about Netanyahu's the Antichrist,
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? I mean, it's constant. It's a constant barrage of stuff, and so I know a lot of the people that still listen to him, that still bought into some of this, but they're not cuckoo, whack job liberal. You know what I mean? They're not mentally deranged people. They're people that fell for a lie and bought into something, and eventually they are going to see the reality. So what happens? Does he go down another conspiracy nut job hole? Because this is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that this MAGA movement that we have formed, that's not necessarily a Trump movement, but that's, put the country first movement, that we can kind of come together instead of continuing to splinter. What's going to happen there?
So it depends on what you mean. What's going to happen? Okay, let's talk about Tucker. And I was a huge fan of his when he was more mainstream. He's been sucked into a lot of propaganda, and he's spun himself out. The guy's naturally a cynic. Even when I liked him, he'd present a very questioning, cynical view of our own government. And I'm always going to be attracted to listening to those arguments, because I try to be a skeptic without being a cynic, because cynicism will drive you mad. It'll lead you into the paralysis of constant analysis, and you can't move forward. So Tucker's not a leader. He's not an official. He doesn't have power. He's got an audience. He's an entertainer, and he can keep doing that shtick as long as he wants to and make himself wealthy. He'll continue to have a following. There are always going to be bases of gullible people that love car wrecks. It's why when I was a 20-something-year-old TV reporter, we'd run and go cover car wrecks. People are going to watch a NASCAR race and see a car wreck. They just soon talk about the car wreck. So there are people that cover the car wreck, and they are of no real consequence at some point. They gum up the works and get in the way, but there's a place for that, I guess. But I don't find him to be credible anymore, and I wouldn't consume his stuff, and I wouldn't boycott him. I think the guy's got the right intentions, but he has been misled, and he's misleading people by being foolish, and that's just where they are. And then people like Candace Owens is a complete nut. She's a nut.
She has no,
they get clicks.
He has influence. That's the thing. He's lost his influence.
Yes, and the polls.
There's a difference between being a podcaster, but
right.
Like you just said, his credibility is gone, so he has no. Just like that happened to the pastor out in Texas that
right.
ended up messing around with that 12-year-old girl. He lost his influence. That's why he can no longer be relevant. That's why he will no longer be relevant. He can go pastor or preach in another church, but he's lost his influence. He's lost his credibility.
Yeah.
And when you lose that, the left may hang on to you. You know what I mean? But
no, people on the right will too. Look, the word influencer nowadays, and I know we got to hit this break, Joe. The word influencer so way out of context. Just because they got a following doesn't mean they're influential. Some people will follow to see the freak show. They're not even really listening or being moved by what's happening. I mean, you got young ladies that show their tits on social media too, and they got huge followings. Does that mean they influence people? No, the people are just looking. And so Tucker's showing his boobs, and he's got a bunch of people that will look at him every single day, but that doesn't mean he's moving the needle, because when you poll it, he's not. He's lost a lot of mainstream support. Yeah,
that's
I guess.
That's a good thing that he's not now.
Right. Influencer is way overstated.
Get elected. He helped Trump get elected.
I'm sure he did. Yeah. And
so,
look,
anyway, all right.
Thanks, man. And he could come around and admit he was off base and resurrect himself. And Glenn Beck did that. He was a straight Trump hater in the beginning. Y'all remember that? He admitted it. He came full circle. He became a believer that Trump knew what he was doing. And so, and we're very forgiving that way. But this whole thing about people being, quote, influencers, just because you got a bunch of bots following you and a bunch of humans that are just like watching a good freak show doesn't mean you have persuasive power at all. It's just true. All right, I'm going to go to the rest of these calls. Hot show this afternoon. Lots going down. Lead on Live, Talk 99.5. Back here in a minute. All right, 427, and we got a full bank, so let's just jump straight on the phones. Let me go to who's next? Rob in Trussville, line 3. What's up, Rob?
Taking my call. I have a question that maybe you might be able to explain to me. You know, I see that we're the largest exporter of oil. I've read that several times throughout the past few days, and we're exporting all this oil. Why is it that we aren't keeping it here locally and trying to lower our stuff and take care of our own first before we send it out? I
Well,
don't
we are.
understand the whole oil future thing and that kind of stuff.
Well, we're a net exporter, which means we consume what we produce, but we have more than what we produce, and so we export and we consume it here. So we are using it here, but the price is set by the whole world, but because it's an investment market where investors from all over the world put their money down to back contracts with these oil companies to say in the future, like today's April 17th, I will buy, I don't know, 100 barrels at this price for delivery in 3 months. So futures means that you're buying something that doesn't exist yet. You're paying the oil company in advance to go get it. And you're agreeing when they get it to you, you'll pay that price. And that keeps oil coming out of the ground for all of us. It's actually a market that really does work for us. When there's any kind of disruption, the whole world gets disrupted by it. The people that get away with it are the Chinese who are getting it on the black market. When we go and sanction a country like Iran, that's good for China because they get to go tell Iran, hey, I know he say you no sell oil, but we buy your oil for 30%. And Iran's like, yes, my friend, buy the oil. And so they all do business and we get screwed. You and I are overpaying for a commodity that's going to them. Trump just equalized all that in the last 47 days. Back in a minute. Alabama Bass ready to come help you out if you're one of those situations. Well, maybe you just don't like your bathtub anymore. Sometimes people just want to swap out their bathtub and get something new and fresh, and they'll do that for you too. But if you really do want freedom and independence and lack of security risk by slipping and falling, let Alabama Bass come and give you a quote. They can replace that old tub shower combo with something beautiful. I mean, you can go to Pelham and see a build out, and I think you'll be sold when you see it. But it's modern technology with slip proof material. Everything's thought through and sort of ergonomically designed without looking like a hospital shower. And you can get in and out of there and get it done. If you're living alone, losing a step, going through some things in life, or maybe somebody in your family, if we're lucky, our parents live long enough to go through these things. And if you want to really get together and help the whole family, let mom and dad be able to keep their independence. You can do this with Alabama Bass. They're just wonderful people. 4 decades as a company, 2 generations, and a whole staff. They're all like family, even the ones that aren't family. They're like a big family there. And they're just going to treat you right. Look, they'll give you a better price. Their product is better than these big corporate schmucks, and they're not going to put any pressure on you. They're just going to give you a price, and they'll do it in 2 days, and they're done when they come for the install. There's also a day when they need to come and give you an estimate and measure. Y'all, it's alabamabass.com. Let them help you and your family. alabamabass.com. Okay, back on the phones. Loving all these calls here on a Friday night. Much to discuss. Steve is over on line 2. What's up, Steve?
Hey, man. It's a good day. I remember 79 very well. I was a little kid. And that was, the summer of the hostages and who shot JR. That's all you heard.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly right. That was all the same year, I think.
Yeah. But I hope Trump refuses to go to China. Says, I'll meet you in the Republic of China. Meet him in downtown Taiwan, whatever the hell the name of that city is. I can't remember. But I did a little research on these grants, the beauty school grants.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of CFO? It's a Greek word.
No.
Well,
I've heard of mofo. Is this anyway? Go ahead.
No, it's a Greek word for beauty.
Yeah, what you got?
It's named after Moses' wife. Moses really had a hot wife named CFO or something. Okay. I got to rewatch that movie, I guess. But it's $125,000 for women, non-white women, to open a beauty school class, whatever. It's a grant. And I'm just skeptical like you are, kind of. I think every state's got some Minnesota in them,
So, well, hold on.
Abuse in it.
Who issues the grant? Is it a state or a federal grant?
I think it's the state issues it when it's federal money, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I think it's nationwide. That's why you see these places popping up everywhere. There's too many for the market.
It's interesting. Yeah, I know when you brought it up yesterday, we just talked generically about the beauty industry, but and I'm no expert on it, but I am married to an expert on grants, and I will ask her about this, and maybe we'll talk about it next week if there's some special program. You're saying for ethnic minorities have a grant program to allow people to open up a beauty shop or a beauty school.
Yeah, it's named after Moses' wife.
Okay. CFO.
CFO is a Greek
They need one
word.
for men called mofo.
Really? I mean, of course, yeah, we could open up gyms or something. They probably already have grants for that, I'm sure.
No, just like everybody gets grants
I
for
just
the
hope
white boys.
watching.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, man. All right.
I hope somebody's watching it,
Well, you called our attention to it. I'll find out.
I'm not against grants. I mean, they can be very good.
As long as it's legit.
A lot of people.
If they're actually training people to go have skills and get into an industry, that's good.
Yeah, that is good. But I have a feeling that if they start digging deep on it, there's going to be some abuse. There's going to be some Minnesota in it. There is.
Dude, now, so today alone we got this war talk, and we got the UFO scientists, and now I got ethnic hair beauty schools, conspiracy theory. What am I going to do with all that?
Wife. I got to rewatch that movie. Charlton Heston. I don't remember. I remember watching that movie when I was little, but I don't remember Moses' wife being hot. Do you?
Well, that would have been an actress, so I mean, probably so.
Yeah.
See you, man.
Maybe. All right, man. Take it easy.
You talking about the 10 Commandments? Is that what? Hey, Jay, is this insensitive? Let my people fro.
Oh, guys.
Put Moses on the cover and promote all the businesses. I love it. I love the tie-in. Man, let's go to Dan on line one. Finally, a call about aliens. I've been waiting on this. Normally this would consume us on a Friday. Dan, what's going on, man?
Hey, not much, Leland. So I have a conspiracy theory about the aliens. I firmly don't believe aliens exist, but what I do believe is demons and interdimensional beings exist.
Yep.
And I feel like most all alien sightings have to do with demons.
Could be. We don't know what they are.
Yeah, but you can actually look at most every alien abduction story. If somebody called on Jesus, they don't the aliens actually leave really fast. And moreover, I really feel like all this about aliens is coming out to kind of give the backstory for when the false prophets and all the people that are doing the in Revelations, all the miracles and stuff of the Bible, to give them a backstory before Jesus' return.
Man, that's a long ball tonight. You're going heavy on me. Actually, it's what's strange, Dan, is I had one of my good lifelong buddies and I had lunch, and we wound up on this conversation this week. I already had this conversation once this weekend. He was educating me on some of his theories about stuff in the spiritual realm. And, people have their theories. It's either external to the earth or some phenomenon that is happening that we're trying to figure out and study, or our government knows about and hasn't told us. And we don't know if they've cut a deal, if society could handle it. But you get this sense that some information's about to come out because there's all this stuff at once. And maybe it's just contagious. I don't know. It's like Shark Week all over again.
Yeah, no, it's definitely demons, bro. And Jesus will return, so everybody turn your life to Jesus and just accept him and repent, because he is coming back. We're not all getting taken up with him. We're going to have to deal with tribulations. I hate to put that long ball in there, but it's going to be bad before it gets better. Eventually, we're going to destroy ourselves, and Jesus comes back. That's what's going to happen for sure.
Dan, good call, man. I appreciate you, buddy.
See ya.
Boy, I could expand on that with something else I read this week, but it'd be too deep for me to handle. I don't think I'm theologically sound enough to argue the point. I'll give you the brief of it, and then I'll get back on the phones. I read another thing this week where a guy was talking about, people have always tried to predict end times since the beginning of when Revelations was discovered, right? When we first read it, humans have always thought the age they were living in this has to be it, because things get crazy. And I'm not saying that the current people that are seeing parallels or seeing patterns are wrong. I'm just saying everybody before now has been wrong. So, but this piece was about people think that it's the tribulation that comes first. And this guy was scholarly, and he talked about when you actually read it and you look at the biblical prophecy it's based on, tell me if I'm over my head, but the first thing to fall apart was marriage. And he cites the verse which says they quit marrying and doing the things to hold their families together. And then you turn around and look at the pressure on our society to dissolve. I'm not saying people going through divorce. I'm saying whole generations of kids choosing just not to do it, not to have kids, not to enter into that institution, and societies get fragmented. You don't have a balance of roles for child rearing. You got women that are obsessed with themselves online, and then men that are turned into poons and pansies that women aren't attracted to. A whole generational split where that institution's falling apart for different reasons than you would think. And I read a whole piece on it. I was like, whoa. So I didn't bring it up on the show because it didn't seem like show material. It's just I was fascinated by the headline. I read a whole lot more stuff than we talk about on the show. But Dan got me squirreled on that stuff. Hazmat Jim is over on line 4. What's up, Hazmat Jim?
All right. Well, first of all, amen to that last brother. And you're quoting from Thessalonians there, I believe. But that's in reference to daggum, like the state of communism and everything in the world, where in the Communist Manifesto they're trying to destroy the nuclear family. Anyway, by the way, I think Moses' wife was actually named Zephora, but that itself is a beauty school. No. It's a beauty shop. A beauty shop.
Yeah,
You
there's
buy
a
your
there's a I know there's a
cosmetics there,
line called Sephora. Yeah. I didn't know that's where that came from.
Yeah, maybe that's what he was referring to. Anyway, I was just on my way home from the quarry, and there's another big snarl up on 20, not the same as what your last caller was referencing near Trussville. This is at the Brompton exit where the Love's truck stop is.
Yeah.
Is probably backed up at least all the way to Buc-ee's, if not 459 by now. But there is an 18-wheeler diagonal across lanes halfway up the hill past the Brompton exit. So it's got everybody way backed up. You don't even need to plan on heading east to Pell City by the interstate. You need to go
Good
around through Murphy or something like that.
So this guy stalled out, and somehow he's blocking all the lanes going up the big mountain right there.
He's got at least 2 lanes blocked, if not part of the third lane, but they're barely squeezing people by, and he's got his hood up, so it's going to be a minute.
All right, man. I appreciate the good word. There's Hazmat Jim with that update. Y'all, eastbound, outbound, near the Buc-ee's Brompton area. I take that exit all the time, going the back way if I'm going east, and that is a choke point on I-20 for sure, because I think that's the part where 78 kind of jumps on and off 20, so there's no way to get around it. You're just on the mountain. So be careful as we roll through tonight. Let's go to Jackie on line 2. We're blowing these phones up tonight. Jackie, what's going on?
Lynn, I'll be quick.
Okay.
You already disclosed what I was calling about anyway. Yes, Moses' wife's name was Zipporah. She was an Ethiopian and the daughter of Jethro.
Okay. All right. I'm not good on all that genealogy. Some of y'all are really adept at it.
You're correct. It is Zipporah. And about the other gentleman that called in about the aliens and what have you, I can't give you the chapters and verse and everything right now, but when Jesus was explaining the signs of the times, one of the things he did say is that things would be as they were in the days of Noah. And in the days of Noah, there was not only excessive sin, but there were giants and there were creatures that, because the angels were messing with the DNA of the humans anyway. So I think there probably are some of those creatures that are still left. And those are the monsters that will come out eventually, being the sign of. As far as the giants go, they were disembodied spirits. So there's no way that the giants, I believe the aliens were probably the angels and maybe some of those creatures that they created. Because I'm sure some of them have wings. And there is supposed to be a period where those things will come out. You're supposed to remain in your home.
So do you think we're in it? And it's funny because, Jackie, you're telling me exactly what my friend was describing to me at lunch the other day. So you put it the same way he did. And the question is, so is that what we're about to learn? Or is it extraterrestrial? Is it not of, well, I guess that technically would not be of this earth or terra firma. But
I
spooky.
think anything from the other dimensions is extraterrestrial.
Well, that's true, because that means, beyond our earth. So of the spirit realm would be a different realm. Man, we got heavy all of a sudden.
Exactly.
Thanks, Jackie.
So
that was informative. Right. Y'all are up. I knew that the audience would be more adept and articulate like Jackie at talking about this stuff than me. All I know is, AJ, I was saving up the Reese's Pieces because I thought it was going to be E.T., and I remember he loved Reese's Pieces. So I was like, he can come to my house. I got to have some treats. My wife would appreciate that. She always has to feed people if they come to the house. But now if it's going to be like some spirit demons with wings, I don't know what to do. Get a Red Bull? What am I doing? Red Bull gives me wings too. Or something.
Because you're going to have to fly away.
Yikes, dude. Or get into the safe and get the guns out. I don't know what's happening. But I mean, there's this swirl of stuff everywhere. Sightings, missing people, dead scientists, government secrets, Congress people coming out saying they've seen things they can't talk about. And the thing is, I said this earlier, in 2026, with all the crazy stuff we've had to deal with since the COVID era, which I think is mostly over now, this is not really on everybody's radar right now. This would have been huge in the 70s or 80s, Alien Life. We'd all go buy movie tickets and sit and be enamored by a Steven Spielberg movie or something over Alien Life. And then we feel like we're about to find something out. And we're all just like, okay. I'm over here scrolling. All right, I see Natalie and I see Bill, and I want to get to these two phone calls. We'll do it. Let me get this break in here. Douglas Cooling and Heating, they are next up here on the show to help you out with your home when it comes to, man, it was feeling moldy out there today. It really was. Here comes the humidity. That's the worst part for me of us living in the South. It's the temperature, but man, that humidity gets on you, gets in your clothes, and the only place you can get relief is inside. And if you're not comfortable there either because your system's not running efficiently, it could just be dirty. Some of you think it's on its last leg and you're about to have to fork out, but it could just be dirty. Let Douglas come clean you up, tune you up, check everything out, the charge, go through and check the vents and make sure everything's balanced out. They'll give that thing a bath and give it a spa day, and then you're good to go for the rest of the season. It'll save you on your bills. That visit more than pays for itself. And then you're in their customer base. You do have an emergency. They're just the best with their quick response to get you back online or do an install before it does get crazy in July. They're ready for that with finance plans and warranties. They've been taking care of me for 17 years. Call Douglas.com. Call Douglas.com. It's 4:54. Let's do this thing. All American Metals, man. This is the company you want to reach out to if you got any kind of building or expansion project or any kind of need for steel. These are steel men, a steel family. They go back to the 1960s, 2 generations of putting up steel, making steel, fabbing it, and manufacturing it. They can custom cut, make, produce anything you need, and whole building packages, which is really what we talk about the most. If you're doing a pole barn, barn dominium. Yesterday, Thomas was on with us from Stockton saying that a lot of folks are doing barn dominium style homes. Steel's incredibly fast to put up, and it's a great way to do construction. If you're considering some of that, boy, I got a finance person for you and a company to help provide the building and the design. It's all American. They're totally in control of their process, from the design work to delivering the building to you. They make their own framing, primary, secondary, all the parts, off the shelf, bolts, screws, everything that's involved. They've got control of that. So you're not going to be having this long wait for supply chain stuff or something to get shipped from China. This is an American company. That's why they call it All American. Y'all reach out to them. Look at some of their building projects, commercial or residential, even residential red iron, retail build outs, all that stuff. All American Metals. It's aa-metal.com. Their facilities are over kind of in the Bessemer Hueytown area, but they'll be happy to work with you over the phone and get you going and answer all your questions. aa-metal.com. Let's go to Natalie on line 3 to keep these calls going. What's up, Natalie?
Yes, I just wanted to share something. A lady preacher went to a Bible study. It was out of the NIV Study Bible, and I can't remember the book because it's been about 10 years ago. But she was explaining why that we didn't need to, it was all women, why we didn't need to get up and read our horoscopes because that was like worshiping idols. But she got into the alien thing just a little bit, and right there where it talks about horoscopes, it says things of the air are evil. And so her interpretation was that it would be like, I think another caller said kind of like the demon or what they can, demonic spirit or something like that. But I don't know that for sure, but it sure does say that and it's obvious in the study Bible what it's talking about as far as the horoscopes and stuff. And I don't know if that kind of extended to the aliens as much or not, but it was interesting to think about. I've never forgotten it.
Man, this is heavy stuff, Natalie. I appreciate it. Do you do, what is it the same thing for fortune cookies? I guess any kind of fortune telling, all that stuff's the same thing?
Anymore.
So you can lay off them fortune cookies.
Anymore, just in case. I'm not perfect by no means. I don't live a perfect life, but okay. But
Thank you, Natalie.
I don't read mine anymore. It was fun.
Bye. You know, they don't even have fortune cookies. AJ knows this story because I've told it 100 times. AJ, they don't have fortune cookies in China. That's an American thing. We made it up. Mm-hmm. They actually make them in Dayton, Ohio, I think. And they're not even fortunes anymore. They just give you advice. Like live long and prosper.
Across the street.
Yeah. Look both ways. Like, that's not telling me a future. Like, it's just bad advice. One day I opened one that said, "Hey, that wasn't chicken."
So it's kind of like you got to eat it before you got to get your fortune before you eat your food.
See, I would check it first, then eat.
Yeah.
Bill's in Chilton County. Bill, we got about a minute and a half. Your turn, man.
Okay. One, tell Valerie that I really did mean what I said in that voicemail I left the other day about a saxophone.
Okay.
I played for a living for a long time, and I'll at least get her making noises with her horn before we go any further.
All right.
I'm dead serious. But you said something about the sniveling, whiny, whatever, so on and so forth.
Yep.
In Timothy 1 or 2, it says, "I did not create in you a spirit of fear." But what we have been created to be are leaders. And when people see us stand up and buck up and move forward like we've got good sense and some stiffness in our spine, then half of them will follow, which is a good thing that we could influence that many people just by standing up and moving forward.
Good stuff, Bill. Good stuff, man.